Hello, Walking the Ropes fans. I am Blake, and welcome to the next episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite, June 26, 2021. In today's show, we have two top contenders going head to head, a legend gets laid out, the young talent shines, a challenge is laid down, and an epic main event. But before that, make sure to check out the Walking the Ropes link tree for all things Walking the Ropes. The opening segment for AEW was Alex Marvez talking with Sammy Guevara outside the arena, and he's asking about basically just about the Pinnacle in general. But he's jumped by Sean Spears with a chair, and he's laid out, and he seems to be hurt in his arm there. And then we move on to a singles match between Powerhouse Hobbs and Hangman Adam Page. And to start out, Hobbs is very cocky. He's showboating. He's tossing Page around the ring, and he's just using his size against Page, basically. But Page eventually is able to take advantage here because Hobbs is showboating a little too much, and he's able to get some off as rolling, but is eventually sent over the top ropes. He sets up for a buckshot lariat, but Hobbs ends up rolling out of the ring. So outside the ring, Hobbs actually is going to take control here, and he sends Hangman into the barricade, and he starts wrenching on his arm in between the barricade bars. They're like bike lock esque things, and he's wrenching on his arm in between that. And basically from here on, Hobbs is in firm control. He goes to the middle ropes, and he takes a little too much time, and Hangman gets the boots up here, and he stuns Hobbs pretty good, which is a really nice move always when you see it. Hobbs then flips Hangman across the ring and sends him into the ring post, and this seems to be where Hangman gets cut, but you can't it's not very noticeable until a little bit later. Hobbs continues his beatdown outside of the ring, and this is when we start to notice Hangman is bleeding from the back of his head. I don't feel like this was an intentional bleed because it was on the back of the head, it wasn't on the forehead. I don't think this was a blade job at all. I genuinely think Hangman hit his head off something. I'm just not sure where the shot landed particularly. He wasn't bleeding profusely, but enough to make his blonde hair look red on the back side. We then get Page sends Hobbs outside with a springboard lariat, and then he also hits a springboard dive after that. And Hangman then hits a moonsault in the ring for a near fall after that. That was a pretty impressive set of moves. Basically, it was just rolling and getting some intense offense on him. And we see Powerhouse Hobbs. He goes up to the middle ropes, and he goes for a flying headbutt, but Page moves and he hits a really nice lariat for a near fall. And this is when we see Team Taz make their way out to the ring, and they're holding the FTW title, which is kind of interesting. And they try to give it to Hobbs to obviously hit Hangman with, but Brian Cage comes out and stops him, and he pushes Ricky Starks to the entrance ramp, and they kind of argue as they're going back. And in the confusion, Hobbs uses this as a chance to hit a spine buster, and he gets a near fall for it. But eventually, Hangman is able to hit a nice German suplex, and then the Deadeye for the win. So Hangman Adam Page defeats Powerhouse Hobbs there. And for my Malteser scale, as you know, we rate these as out of 5. I gave it a 3.75 out of 5. It's honestly one of the better matches of the night. I'm not even going to exaggerate that. Moving on from that, we have Brandon Cutler and the Young Bucks talking. Well, I guess it's more the Young Bucks than Brandon Cutler. And they mention how they're the longest reigning AEW Tag Team Champions. And they start mentioning about every person they've taken out, and then they're calling out their next opponents, Eddie Kingston and Penta El Cerramiento. And they say they'll beat them because they are EVPs, extremely violent people. And then we get Tony Schiavone and Tully Blanchard talking in the ring. And they ask Conan to make his way out. And Conan comes out, and he starts saying he won't be intimidated, and he says that, FTR talked about the like growing up similar storylines and whatever. But Conan says that North Carolina is far different from growing up in New York, where you have, I think he mentioned shootings and being arrested and all kinds of fun stuff uh, with his promo there. And he says, Tully says he doesn't know who he's talking to. He says FTR is going to end Conan, and Conan says he knew that FTR was going to be waiting for them, so he got Proud and Powerful to come out, and he has Proud and Powerful music hits, and they come out with their masks on and fully covered, and it seems like Tully's almost laughing at this point, and he directs his everyone's attention to the big screen, and you can see Santana and Ortiz beaten up and laid out in the back. And in the ring, it's revealed that who we thought was Proud and Powerful is actually FTR, and they start beating on Conan, and they hit a really, really nice spike pile driver on Conan in the ring, and it was impressive to see Conan take that for sure. We then get Vicky coming out after Dante Martin's entrance for his match. She comes out and she reintroduces Andrade El Idolo. Idolo. I think that's how Idolo is how you say it, but I could be wrong. They have a huge announcement, they say, but before that, they're interrupted by Matt Sydal. And Vicky and Andrade leave angry. I feel like that's going to be Andrade's first match in AEW is Matt Sydal. And moving on from that, like I said, we had Dante Martin already enter here, and Matt Sydal as well. So that's the next match. We have a singles match between Dante Martin and Matt Sydal. And this is just a really good match between some high flyers here. So they start going back and forth, exchanging holds and tosses, and Martin eventually is able to hit a really big like Hurricane Rana and is able to roll for a little bit, but then he's caught with Sydal's classic leg lariat, and he starts to take control, and he's targeting one of Dante's legs, and he hit Sydal. Then also follows it up with a standing moonsault, and he gets a near fall after that. Sydal is basically in firm control here. He picking his spots and targeting the legs of Dante Martin. He actually, a really cool move I thought was going on here was Matt Sydal locked in what I saw was a reverse single leg Boston Crab. So if you know how a single leg Boston Crab is, Sydal was switched his position and had it the foot draped over his shoulder. It really interesting move for sure. But Dante Martin's able to fight out, but Sydal is able to just keep his beatdown going. But Martin does always find a way to come back. And he eventually actually basically flips Sydal into a fireman's carry slam, or the AA, better known as. And he starts rolling here, Dante does. Uses the ropes for a double springboard moonsault. And then Dante he's setting up for a suplex on the top rope, but Sydal sends him off, and he hits Meteora for a near fall. And Sydal then goes for a big knee, but Dante flips around and gets a near fall with a roll up, and then hits a front flip stunner for a near fall. It was when I say a front flip stunner, I mean he flipped over, I don't even know how to say it. It was insane what he did. And then Martin goes to the top rope, and Sydal gets out of the way and hits a really big kick and hits the lightning spiral for the win. Matt Sydal defeats Dante Martin. For my Malteser scale, I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. It was a really solid match, honestly. Like I said, two really good high flyers here. Next, we have Jungle Boy talking about his match with or sorry, not his match with Christian, talking about his match with Kenny. And Christian comes in and talks to him. Basically, Christian's just saying Jungle Boy should be pissed off because people are still selling him short, and that he should be respected more in AEW. We then get Mark Sterling and Jade Cargill talking about a new deal that for her gear that's 10% off. Cool. The Pinnacle talks about what they've done. And MJF doesn't understand why people are mad about what he did to Dean Malenko. He says Dean shouldn't have even been there. And I mean, whatever you want to say, or MJF, but that's just your opinion, I guess. I don't know. I thought this was a really cool moment. MJF is being the stupid, dastardly heel that he is. And then we get Jericho and Hager coming in and jumping them, and it's a beatdown here. They eventually brawl into the ring, and the Pinnacle starts to take control because they have the numbers 3-on-2. And MJF and Spears go to break Jericho's arm. They have it set up to smash it with a chair, I believe. But Guevara runs in and makes the save here, and he clears the ring from of the Pinnacle. And Sammy says that next week he will show MJF Sammy is better than you, and you know it. That'll be good. Then we get Miro talking about Brian Pillman Jr., and he says that Pillman will find out why he's God's favorite champion. I'm excited for that match. We get a singles match between Ethan Page with Scorpio Sky and Bear Bronson with Bear Boulder in his corner. This is a really good match, solid for it. Like, I don't want to say two tag team guys because Page isn't really a tag team guy, but he's been working a tag team recently. And Bear Bronson is obviously a tag guy, but this was just a really solid match between two guys here. Page starts out by making Bear really mad, and he starts to just beat on him in the corner. And Page also starts mocking Bronson, and in return he's caught by a power slam for a near fall. Bronson then sends Page into the ring post and sends him flying outside. Bronson goes for a dive, but Sky actually pushes Page out of the way here, and takes the dive from Bronson, which was really cool. I thought that showed the dedication to Sky and his team with Page there, for sure. And Page then uses the ref to kind of, I guess you would say, level the playing field. And then so he gets the ref to yell at, I believe it's Boulder, and then they double team Sky, and Page does double team Bronson while the ref is yelling at Boulder. And in the back in the ring there, Page is taking complete control, and he hits a DDT for a near fall. And he just continues his beat down there. But Bronson slowly starts to fight back. He eventually goes for a senton, but Page moves and goes for Ego's Edge, but Bronson flips the man, which is, I mean, he's the bigger guy. Of course he's going to be stronger. Page eventually hits a superplex off the top rope, which was a really nice move. He gets a near fall off that. Bronson hits a sidewalk slam for a near fall, and Bronson goes to the top rope, but is distracted by Sky, and Ego then hits a low blow and uses Ego's Edge for the win. Ethan Page defeats Bear Bronson. For my Malteser scale, I gave that a 3 out of 5. It was a solid match. I gave it the lowest score so far, but it's not necessarily a bad match by any means. Page gets on the mic and he says that he's not stupid, and he says that he knows he's not done with Darby, and he challenges Darby to a coffin match, which I am super excited for that. We then get Britt Baker talking about Vicky's challenge and says they'll beat her. We then get Vicky and Nyla responding to that, and they say that the tag match is just an appetizer for when Nyla's going to take the AEW Women's Championship. Moving on from that, we get a singles match between the Bunny with the Blade and Chris Statlander with Orange Cassidy in her corner. They go back and forth, trading shot for shot right off the start. And Statlander starts to take control, setting Bunny up on the top rope. But she fights out and hits a big kick on Statlander. Bunny outside of the ring hits a really big shotgun drop kick into the barricade. And she's in firm control from here. She hits a big elbow drop in the corner when they get back in the ring. And she even hits a neck breaker, but Statlander's eventually able to fight back and hits Bunny, but she does get stopped pretty quickly and she's sent outside. Outside of the ring, Statlander hits a scoop slam and they roll back inside and exchange blows once again. And then Statlander starts to roll here and gets a near fall. Bunny goes for a really big kick, but Statlander hits a blue thunder bomb for a near fall. And then she goes up to the top rope from there, but the Bunny hits a German suplex off the top rope for a near fall. And the Blade then slides the brass knuckles into the ring, and Orange Cassidy takes no shit, I guess you could say. And he rolls in the ring, grabs them, and puts them in his pocket. And then we see Statlander hitting the Big Bang Theory for the win. Chris Statlander defeats the Bunny. For my Malteser scale, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid match, honestly. After the match, the Blade jumps Orange Cassidy, and TH2 comes out to help with the beatdown. And the Blade grabs the brass knuckles and knocks out Orange Cassidy, and they just stand tall over top of him. We then get QT and Tony Schiavone talking, and QT says the only reason Brock Anderson was Wrestler of the Week last week was because his dad is Arn Anderson. I mean, he had a fantastic showing. He was my Wrestler of the Week even. So, I mean, I would say that's false, but who knows. Then he says Cody isn't even here today. He's busy in meetings in Hollywood, booking shows or whatever. And QT goes on to say that he really hopes that he'll get Cody will get a superhero movie so he doesn't have to deal with Cody anymore. Which I don't know how that would work. Cody's been able to do other stuff and still work wrestling. Anyway, we then get Brian Pillman Jr. talking about Miro, and he's just basically flat out says he's going to take the title. And we get Kingston and Penta talking about the Bucks. They want to hurt the Bucks' ego, so they will take the tag team titles. The first they have to beat them, the match next week is not a title match. But Penta says they will run over the Bucks. Then we get the main event of the evening, the AEW World Championship match. Kenny Omega with the Elite versus Jungle Boy with Jurassic Express. And almost immediately, Marco gets Jurassic Express kicked out, and the ref decides that instead of just kicking out Jurassic Express, he's going to kick out all the teams from ringside. Everybody's kicked out. Nobody's allowed ringside. And from there on, it's a back and forth match. They lock up, and Kenny notices Jungle Boy's hair is caught in his eyes, so he gently brushes it out of his eyes, and he's basically like toying with them. And basically they just keep going back and forth with these two. Their technical ability inside the ring, outside the ring, flipping around the ring, everything. These guys they know what to do. And Jungle Boy eventually tosses Kenny across the ring, and he goes for a dive, but Kenny ducks and then pulls Jungle Boy outside and beats on Jungle Boy. So basically Jungle Boy stalled and then got pulled out, and he just starts getting beaten on. And Kenny then goes to send Jungle Boy into the post, but Jungle Boy slides through it and then hits a big drop kick, sending Kenny into the barricade, and then he does it again, sending Kenny into the barricade again. After that, Kenny dumps Jungle Boy into the front row over the top, like over the barricade, and the fans actually help Jungle Boy over the barricade, which is kind of funny. We get Kenny taking control back in the ring, but Jungle Boy reverses Kenny, but Kenny reverses his reversal and gets a near fall after a nice slam. Kenny's in control again here. He goes for a corkscrew suplex, but Jungle Boy rolls him up for a near fall. And then after that, Jungle Boy hits a brain buster, but he couldn't make the cover. We get Jungle Boy starting to roll here, and Kenny is outside, and he hits an elbow suicida, and then followed by a tope suicida. He goes for a third, but Kenny gets in the ring, so Jungle Boy just hits a DDT instead, sending Kenny outside, and then he can hit his tope cone hero that he was going to hit in the first place. So he finishes his third dive there. And then Jungle Boy goes to the top rope, but is stopped by Kenny and pushed off. And Kenny hits a package superplex, actually, from the top rope there, which is really landed pretty brutal, but only got a near fall, like I said. And he sets up for a V-trigger, but Jungle Boy moves and hits a big kick. And Kenny responds with a knee and then a Snapdragon suplex and then a V-trigger. And Jungle Boy responds with a verse Spike Rana for a near fall. Basically, they're just going back and forth with near falls. Jungle Boy eventually is able to lock in the snare trap, and the Good Brothers come out, but they're quickly taken out by Jurassic Express and Kazarian. And Jungle Boy is continuing to roll here. He hits a big clothesline, and then Kenny's hits a huge V-trigger, and then another one. He sets up for the One-Winged Angel, but Jungle Boy fights out and locks in the snare trap once again, but Kenny pulls the hair of Jungle Boy to break the hold here. Kenny hits the Tiger Driver 98 for a near fall, and it's followed up by the One-Winged Angel for the win. Kenny Omega defeats Jungle Boy to retain the AEW World Championship. My Malteser scale for that match, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was a fantastic match. Both of them just proved why they're in the main event, and Jungle Boy is absolutely the future of AEW and wrestling in general. After the match, Kenny sets up to take out Jungle Boy, but Christian Cage comes in to make the save, but is followed by the Hardy family office, and they take out Christian. He's fighting back a little bit, and he's starting to go for the kill switch on Hardy, but the Young Bucks come out, and they super kick Christian. And it kind of appears that the Hardy family office and the Elite are working together in a certain capacity. We get, for my overall for this show, I gave it a 4 out of 5. It was a really good show, honestly. Nothing wrong with it, really, in my opinion. My match of the night, I gave it to 2 matches, all honesty. I gave it to Hangman versus Hobbs, as well as Kenny versus Jungle Boy. The reason for that is because I can't decide which one was better. While I did grade the main event better, I enjoyed the opening match a lot as well, and they were just 2 really fantastic matches. My segment of the night is definitely the setup for Pillman versus Miro. They're having a title match, I believe it's next week, and I'm super excited to see Pillman get a shot at the TNT Championship. But that is all. I thank you all for dropping into this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. If you enjoyed that, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. I'll see you in the next one.